At the Destiny 2 event, there were 3 exotics for us to try out. Each of the classes had 1 exotic to try. We don't know if these are going to be class specific, but the Hunter had the Sunshot hand cannon, Warlocks had the Risk Runner submachine gun, and Titans had the Sweet Business auto rifle. And by auto rifle, I mean Gatling gun. Before we get into it though, I need to thank Datto, Triplewreck, and Miss 5000 Watts for lending me some of this footage. There was a lot to play at the event, and it was almost impossible to get a lot of good footage just by yourself. So if you haven't already, you should check out their channels. It's linked on screen and in the description. Like I said, the Sweet Business is a primary kinetic damage auto rifle modeled after a Gatling gun. We couldn't inspect the weapons, only hover over them, so we have no idea if there are any other perks that we can mess with, like stats that we have now. The 2 perks that we can see are Payday, larger magazine, increased hipfire accuracy. The second one will cause the weapon's range and rate of fire to increase when holding down the trigger. In addition, it automatically loads ammo pickups into the magazine. Speaking of the stats though, this one features a lot of incredibly low stats compared to the other auto rifles that we've seen. Most of this is balanced around the fact that the gun has to spin up to hit its max rate of fire. Once it does, the damage is extremely consistent and can absolutely melt targets in both PvE and PvP. It's a pretty slow and cumbersome weapon, but the payoff is definitely there. It really feels like a weapon that was designed to lay down some suppressing fire. I feel like coupling this with the Titan's auto reloading ability behind their wall will be a stupidly powerful combo for closing off lanes in PvP and keeping constant uptime on bosses in PvE. Moving on to my favorite of the weapon classes, we have the Sunshot hand cannon. This one did solar damage and went into the elemental slot. The perks that we could see were Sunburn, which gave explosive rounds and highlighted targets. Also, targets killed with Sunshot explode in solar energy. So basically, this gun was like Fatebringer, just without the reload component of it. In PvE, the things I killed were exploding when they died from a shot, so I can confirm that the perk is working as intended. The damage output was pretty high. Most tier 1 mobs were down with a single precision shot, but other beefier enemies did take a few hits. It felt like a proper hand cannon that we have now. The sounds and overall aesthetics of the gun were perfect. There were big, beefy shots with each trigger pull, and the gun would slowly heat up in an orange glow. There was even like a cooling down noise when you loaded in a magazine that wasn't glowing hot. At least, that's what I think this was. The final weapon we got to play with was the Risk Runner submachine gun. This gun did arc damage and went into your elemental weapon slot. As a side note, I'm pretty sure that they're just going to make elemental damage weapons go in the elemental slot. No more elemental damage primaries. It seems like it's just an easier thing to balance the sandbox around and whatnot. The perks we could see were Arc Conductor. Taking arc damage increases weapon power, and when Arc Conductor is active, shots fired have a chance to become chain lightning and return ammo. The second part of that perk is extremely similar to Zalo's Supercell, and I can tell you that it procs pretty quickly once you take enough damage. I started firing at someone using my own Risk Runner, and theirs almost immediately procced and ended me thusly. So it's something to definitely be aware of. I still think this is a nice niche perk, but only if you have knowledge of the enemies that you are going to face, then it could be an incredibly powerful thing for both PvE and PvP. I do think it's funny in PvP, if both of you have it and you're aware of it and you both know you have it out, you kind of do this dance of, should I fire at you? I'm not going to fire at you. Or you just swap to your primaries and kill them that way. Since it's a new weapon class, I guess I can talk about SMGs for a little bit too. They honestly play out a lot like auto rifles. Damage falloff is pretty quick, as is the overall aim assist too. If you're trying to use this gun at, say, longer auto rifle ranges, then you're going to have a rough time. It seems like that's the perfect in-between point for what fast rate of fire auto rifles were trying to be in Destiny 1, but couldn't quite get there under the auto rifle weapon class banner. It will be interesting to see other SMGs because I think there could be a lot of interesting depth to that class now that it has a more defined sandbox to exist in. I hope you found the information here helpful. If you did, a positive rating would be appreciated. Thank you for watching, and I'll see you next time.